Hi, so welcome back to another edition of Real Auto Talk. Our conversations with you, the consumer, and our fans about all things cars. And there was something I was thinking about while driving this QX60 from Infiniti today that I thought was a good topic, and it's around the safety features that come on these new well-equipped cars. And it's something that I think we have started to take for granted, how much the safety features help us drive on a daily basis or correct our mistakes or prevent us from making mistakes. And I thought it was something that I just wanted to talk about a little bit for what you could look for safety features in a new car versus some of the older cars. And I'll give you a little bit of my opinions on whether I like these features or not, being such a driving aficionado. And so the first one that always comes to mind, it's actually been made standard for the 2015 model years, is the rear backup camera. And so here in the Infiniti, we have a full view of the rear camera and the around view monitor, which lets us basically, there's mirrors, the cameras hanging off each of the mirrors, plus the one in the front and in the back that gives us the around view monitor. And you can even change these views. You can see the parallel curb parking. So what's interesting is that this Infiniti has less than 1,200 miles and already has a curbed front right wheel. Well, that generally does happen in the city. And what's interesting though is that a lot of people don't know that these vehicles have all these different modes for the camera. So it's a really interesting safety feature, and it allows you to see more around the vehicle. And there's cross path detection in these vehicles. You can go to the wide view of the rear, and you can see with that wide view, well actually you probably can't on the GoPro here, but the wide view can see fisheye around what's behind me. So even though looking over my shoulder I barely can see out the back window here that there is a whole set of trash cans here at Real Auto Reports, in the camera I can easily see those, and it's telling me where the sides of the vehicle are with the dotted line pattern so that you can back it into parking spaces and such like that. It's an interesting safety feature to have these rear view cameras, and you notice how it stays on even after you get going. It doesn't turn off till just above 5 miles an hour. Now the other one are these lights that some are out in the mirrors, but in this particular vehicle, they're lights here like they are in the Audi. That's going to be your blind spot monitoring system. And actually right now I have just about everything turned off. There's a quick button here on the wheel that will turn on the lane departure assist, the blind spot monitoring, this actually has active crash avoidance as well in the Infiniti QX60. This is a 2015 model year, and we'll be doing our first impressions review, posting that and the real video coming up soon here on Real Auto Reports down the road. But when you get out and you start to drive with these features, what's interesting about it is that this vehicle, from a lane departure perspective, will actually pull you back into your lane if you are wandering. So that's an interesting feature, and one, if you're not expecting it, can take you a little bit by surprise. The crash avoidance will also help brake for you. If you are coming up on a vehicle and the rate of speed at which you're coming up on them, the computer deems to be unsafe, it'll alert you, and then in a lot of vehicles, it will brake for you as well. And then of course you also have your what they call the emergency stop feature in a lot of these vehicles, where if you are on the brake and then all of a sudden you force down on the brake really fast, the electronic brake distribution system will push a whole lot more power into the brakes because it basically assumes that you're making a panic stop. Now, I can't tell you how many times recently in the new cars I have had that experience where I've been, my foot's been on the brakes slightly because I see that people are stopping up ahead of me, and then somebody jams on their brakes and I squeeze the brake quickly but harder, but I know I'm not intending to stop quickly. I'm just reacting to what's in front of me, and I know how much brake pressure I was giving, and the car decides that I am in a panic situation because of the speed at which I pressed down on the brake, and all of a sudden me and my passengers are like, oh God, because the car has literally decided to panic stop us, and the only way to stop that is to lift my foot all the way off the brake. You know, this is where I come to say, you know, some of these safety features are quite impressive. We have adaptive cruise on this as well, so that it'll modulate the pace of the vehicle in front of you at different, you can set different lengths of distance, so really safe, a little bit closer, and still safe, but driving closer to the vehicle in front of you. And I think that some of these safety features really do deter good driving, because we come to rely on them. With the adaptive cruise especially, if you have a vehicle, our 2013 Charger that I've been reviewing since we got it new, you get used to it, and then you stop, I think, being as razor sharp, because you're not having to watch, the car is modulating the speed. Now in traffic situations, it can prevent you from having a fender bender because it is modulating you and keeping you at a better distance. Same thing with the lane departure. I'm gonna see if I can get it to do it here. So I'm kind of wandering over here, and see, it's braking, and it's not quite actively pulling me over as hard as the M sedans used to from Infiniti, but it was physically braking the vehicle. And so if I was slightly wandering out of my lane here, you know, it's beeping at me and tugging on the wheel and giving me a braking response to slow the vehicle and try to bring it back in the lane. And I think that's a nice feature, but if you're bad about using your turn signals, guess what that system uses to understand whether or not you're trying to change lanes. So if I come up here and I try to change lanes without my signal, it actually will start to fight you a little bit, especially at freeway speeds. Now, what was interesting there is that it didn't actually beep at me. But here, if I move back over, yeah, it does it when it feels like sometimes. And that's the other things, is sometimes I find driving all of the cars that we drive that you really do have to read the owner's manual to understand exactly how each feature in the brand that you're buying works. And so the safety, the way that the traction control, that's another great safety feature we should mention as we're rolling along here. Traction control and anti-skid control, pretty much standard on every new vehicle anymore these days, at a minimum traction control. But the thing about it is that there are situations where those systems actually make it harder and more, I mean, not only harder, but not even as safe to get out and get going, because they are trying to perform for you that if you had the skill of driving in the snow, you would actually be better off. Now, I'm not saying that safety features shouldn't be on the cars. It's just interesting how many safety features now we have: blind spot monitoring, cross path detection, adaptive cruise, traction, anti-skid control. We even have safety features to brake for us now if we're not paying attention. In the Subaru brand, they've got Eyesight, which they actually advertise as another set of eyes for you, so that if you have a lapse in attention, it will determine the environment and keep you safer. Now, a lot of these things are in the greater good, you know, a benefit to society. You know, they are for the greater good, I guess I should say. But I do think that it also makes us a little less aware of our surroundings, knowing that the vehicles are so safe and they have so many systems. And when those systems fail, that's when people get caught off guard. And with just like any computer or software package or piece of technology, it is possible for something to fail. So what I guess I'm saying is that I was struck in driving this vehicle today, because yesterday I was driving my 76 MG, which is, well, I mean, if it has technology in it, the majority of it is in the radio that is in it, where we added the hands-free capability and the Bluetooth and all of that. Otherwise, it is about as manual as you come. And the thing that I guess impressed me about that vehicle, you know, that driving experience, and then coming and driving this today from Infiniti, was really that I went to change lanes, and shame on me for not using my turn signal on the freeway, but there wasn't anybody near me. I just went to move over for an exit, and the car was pulling on the wheel, and the blind spot monitoring was beeping, and I realized, oh, you know, I totally forgot that this kind of vehicle, because it's so new, is going to have all of that. Same thing with the park assist. You know, there is park assist on a lot of these new vehicles, and it can be really annoying in a garage scenario where you're having to drive really close to walls and other places. In fact, sometimes when I'm parking in my own garage here at Real Auto Reports, and to park the cars for the night, you know, I have to squeeze them in, and I have to turn the park assist off, because it's one of those things that it's constantly going off because of the space that I'm in. So I think there's a happy balance with some of these safety features. And I think what I hope is that as we teach new drivers, and as we continue to drive and enjoy our vehicles, that, you know, we understand that it doesn't take the place of attention to detail and driving in general. I like to actually, when I get a car like this, I like to turn off all of the features as much as it will let me. In some cars, it says that the safety features are off, and they really aren't. ABS is a long-time safety feature, one I quite like, but in the snow and ice, in some vehicles, the ABS is really difficult to live with. And it requires you driving differently so that it doesn't actually become a detriment to you. So I like to turn the systems off and get to know the vehicle in a safe setting, in a big parking lot, or, you know, at Real Auto Reports we have a lot of space in the driveway and around the back that we can drive around. And I recommend people get to know the base of the vehicle before they rely on the safety features every day. And keep in mind, be aware, even if the safety features are there, they're supposed to catch you when you have a lapse. They're not supposed to catch you on a regular basis. So it's just something I thought I'd talk about in this Real Auto Talk, and I hope that it seems informative, and maybe you haven't thought about all the safety features in your vehicle. Again, you know, I'll list off just all the ones that I can think of, even just in this vehicle: traction control, anti-skid control. We have blind spot monitoring, cross path detection, rear view cameras, all around camera or surround view monitor type of setup. We have adaptive cruise. We have the crash avoidance, so that it'll tell us if we're about to hit something or we're coming up on something too fast. We have the electronic brake distribution type of feature, whereas I was saying, if you're braking lightly and then you squeeze down on the brake, it'll give you full, if it senses you're doing that in a panic method, it'll give you a full braking power, you know, full hydraulic power to the brakes. We have, I think I said ABS, gosh, it's almost airbags, of course, and these have auto tensioners on the seat belts in the Infinitis that are kind of interesting. Side curtain airbags. I mean, the list just goes on and on when you think about how much tech is really in these new vehicles, and that is across the board, from even things all the way down to the cheapest, you know, Chevrolet Sonic or Nissan Versa. You'll find a lot of technology. In the Kia Forte, in our review, you would see out on Real Auto Reports that it had all sorts of technology added to it, even though it is a small four-door sedan. So we hope this was informative. I'm Jonathan McGrew with Real Auto Talk. We look forward to your comments, and remember the hashtag Real Auto Talk. Use that on our Facebook channel, or Facebook page, I should say, the fan page. Use it in our comments here at Real Auto Reports, on the YouTube channel, Google+, Twitter. You can send us messages through all sorts of social media. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Tell us if you have comments or things you think about what we're saying. And we want to create a conversation, and be on the lookout for more Real Auto Talks coming up down the road.